Hello, my friends. Rob Roselli coming to you once again. Today being Tuesday, February 14th, 2017, Valentine's Day. A lot going on in the world, obviously. Some of it's actually starting to break through the so-called mainstream news, Fox News, and those jokers over there. But anyway, the website, once again, boxofsunglasses.com, that's one word. Email info@boxofsunglasses.com. Twitter @Rob Roselli, that's Roselli. Facebook, Rob Roselli 1. In the last several weeks, we've just been discussing God's simple salvation plan. And if you go on my website, again, it's boxofsunglasses.com, you can link to the YouTubes, the previous YouTubes. The descriptions are there, and all this sort of thing. But and then there's a link on my website as well, God's simple salvation plan. I suggest people listening, if you're listening, if there's 2 people listening, or 200 or 2 million, whatever, if they get hold of this video, I suggest you read up on that. And it really is simple, okay, as we've gone through. Okay, you don't need the nonsense of the so-called organized religions of the world. Okay, it's just not necessary. All right, it's very simple. Okay, that's why I call it God's simple salvation plan. Anyway, so the eternal Father, the King of the universe, has made it very easy through the sacrifice of His one and only Son, per John's chapter 3. And I suggest people to read that and study it and become aware. And I've been trying like heck the last several weeks to, and in fact my whole website, and to impart or convey the blatant nature, the pervasiveness of the quote conspiracy. It's here, it's everywhere, and it's not that hard to see. And you don't necessarily have to be that intelligent to see it. In fact, a lot of the so-called experts that I've been saying, especially these doctorate-level economists, these Keynesian maniac morons, okay, the Paul Krugmans and the other economic experts who espouse the Federal Reserve System and say we need the Federal Reserve System, they're the worst sort, okay? Well, actually, I can't really say that. I mean, these so-called evolutionary biologists, make the doctorate economists look like a bunch of Einsteins, okay? The dummies, okay, who believe that a dead thing can become alive and call it science and disparage anybody that says that's nonsense. Okay, so you have experts in evolutionary biology, which are morons. You have experts in economics, Federal Reserve, debt creation. Okay, because the United States economy is a complete sham. Okay, it's a debt-based sham, which mathematically must collapse. Okay, so you got all those experts graduating from Harvard Law School and Chicago and business school, the attorneys, the politicians, the economists, all these morons. And of course there's the whole climate change, the whole global warming, global cooling, climate change scam, a whole other set of quote experts that don't know what the hell they're talking about, excuse my French. Now, that one in particular, the last one, given current events with this dam out there in Oroville, California, I think it's pronounced, is very interesting. Okay, in light of what's going on, okay, and California is the worst. Now, these poor people, if you watch the videos, these aren't Beverly Hills. These aren't people that fly their private jets out of Beverly Hills and and take their limos to these award shows and then complain about other people's carbon footprints or vetting undocumented immigrants from known terrorist countries, and then they go run behind their gated houses with their security. This isn't the crowd, okay? These look like very middle class to lower middle class kind of people that are kind of getting their shaft over here in the middle of California. But be that as it may, I know it's tempting, and I can't lie and say I'm not tempted myself to say California deserves it. These liberal, these so-called liberals and open-minded people, but just as an aside, I think we must pray for these people, because I think they're helpless. Okay, we can't. I'm guilty of this too, I guess, because I really don't like California. It's politics. It's a dead weight on the rest of America, and they're talking about seceding, and the faster they secede, except for their agriculture, it may be San Diego County and a few other pockets of sanity that's left there. But anyways, the sooner the state secedes in general, the better, and that sort of thing. But I think really in this case we must pray for these people, these poor people. But how I don't know if funny is the right word, but ironic. Okay, so you have all these morons in California leading the way with talking about climate change and all these ridiculous regulations and environmental regulations, and trying to get things done in California. From what I've read, what I know, and I work as an engineer here in the Northeast, and all things are tough enough. But in California, I think it's just astronomically tough to get anything done. Okay, we're dealing with the state bureaucrats and the red tape and all the nonsense. Now contrast that with what these people in this California government should have been doing. Okay, for the past 20 years. Now you have this dam. Now it's failing. Okay, I won't have to get into reasons why. It's failing. Okay, it could have been built a lot better with the right money, the right inspections. Okay, look, they could have done studies, developed emergency flood mapping. Where communities, zoning. Okay, there's a million issues. Okay, I can tell you, and I don't need to get into details right now, that could make this problem, this emergency, a lot more manageable. And it wouldn't even happen to begin with, because the dam wouldn't be failing. And if in the cataclysmic case it did fail, an earthquake or something, or whatever, that the evacuation routes would be ready to go, and people would be living somewhere else, and all this sort of thing. The point is, the money wasn't spent, is the bottom line. Okay, so this is an example. There's a lot of that can be kind of extracted from this ongoing disaster. Okay, number one is the nonsense. Okay, people are going to say, well, this disaster, maybe, why would God allow this? Or, those types are going to start coming out. The response in this case is really easy. Did God tell you to waste your time on evolution and transgender sex changes and harboring, murdering illegal aliens and climate change? That nonsense, that great big lie of Al Gore and the Hollywood, limousine private jet liberals. Okay, that scam known as climate change, and it is a scam. Okay, there is a link on my site. I just find that real quick. I got so many pages on the site, I can't even find it anymore. But just to page 11, New Age nature worship. Okay, that's what I've classified it. So that's the link. Okay, just as an aside. So when I say that climate change is a blatant scam, you can see it. But just getting back to the point. So we waste how many hours, how many trillions of dollars, okay, on nonsense, okay, burning our own fuel, like ethanol, ruining people's engines, okay, for a problem that doesn't exist, okay. Then of course we had the, Pharaoh Barry, okay, getting out there. Remember his $800 billion, I think it was, shovel-ready jobs, and then it turned out the money was gone, and there were very few so-called shovel-ready jobs ready to go, and Pharaoh Barry just kind of laughed. I'll never forget just watching him. Just go, I guess, just laughed it off. $800 billion was just gone. Okay. California was overwhelmingly for Pharaoh Barry, and overwhelmingly for the abortion queen, the Negro Project queen, Queen Hillary, okay, Queen Jezebel, that devil, okay. Now they got a real problem on their hands, okay. Now this wall of water supposedly is endangering Sacramento, which is the state capital. And talk about karma, okay. All these idiots in Sacramento wasting their time with all this nonsense I just mentioned. They're going to have anywhere, depending on which source you're reading, anywhere between a 30 30 foot, let's just say by the time, I don't know, by the time you get to by Sacramento, I mean, the wave might have dispersed and gone off into sub-drainage areas and branches, and I don't know the hydraulics of the area, but Sacramento's in grave danger. Okay, they may not get hit with the 100-foot wall of water that the towns immediately downstream of this almost 800-foot high dam are going to get, but they're going to get theirs. Okay, but you know the government officials, I mean, they're not going to be on the highway with the little people. Their only job is to, is to vote for these politicians every 2 or 4 years and pay taxes and die. Okay, the politicians that are responsible for all this nonsense, they're going to fly out in helicopters and they're going to have special transportation out of this place. Okay, but this is just a very small example. Okay, not to mention Fukushima. Okay, the ongoing nuclear disaster in Japan known as Fukushima. Okay, the entire Pacific Ocean is essentially poisoned right now. Okay, so again, the environmentalists, the climate change freaks in California are going to get the brunt of it, but we're all going to get it, okay? So the earth is being poisoned and destroyed, okay, in a very real sense, and it's not carbon dioxide. It's not that idiocy, okay? It's happening, not to mention, okay, now we got an impending war with China and maybe Russia, okay, as the deep state or the, whatever you want to call them, Eastern establishment, what I call the un-American genocidal complex, covered in my second book, okay, available on my site. Okay, the same crowd that gave us the Great Depression, eugenics, the AIDS virus, Adolf Hitler, is the same crowd that's after Donald Trump, okay, and this Mike Flynn resignation, General Mike Flynn, and I don't know a lot about it, okay, I just kind of get the overview, but it seems like the pervading theme right now is that they don't like the fact that he was trying to make peace and extend diplomatic ties with Russia, okay? This is the level of psychosis and genocidal maniacs that we have running the world right now, which isn't a surprise because the one running the world right now goes by the name of Lucifer or Satan, okay? And you can read this in about an hour, maybe 2 hours, and find out what's really going on. Pleased to meet you. Yeah, it's fiction, but it's not really fiction. It's a real conversation. Okay, it's an actual conversation. Like the conversation is based on multiple Old and New Testament verses as well as actual events from world history. Okay, and the ultimate demise of these godless, let's just say it, heathen that are out there. Okay, that are out in the streets. And we'll get to that in a second. Okay, but the world is going helter-skelter, okay? It's going Charles Manson on a societal-wide scale. We're going insane. We're probably there already, okay? We're busting at the seams, okay? So not only, now, obviously my favorite John Carpenter movie, for which my first book is named, if you notice, They Live, Great Society of the Undead. Great, of course, being a code name for Osiris of ancient Egypt, okay, as in the Great Pyramid on your aforementioned Federal Reserve note, or right here on the Cathedral of St. John's the Divine, right there in Mystery Babylon in New York City. Okay, but Great is a code name for Osiris, or the devil, okay, or Apollo, Apollyon of Revelation chapter 9, okay, because when he's running the world, okay, we're on the verge of just bedlam and outright insanity. We're busting at the seams. In a figurative sense, I guess symbolically, this whole world, in a symbolic sense, is like the Orville Dam, okay? And actually, to make that analogy, you can read up, on a dam break, read Isaiah chapter 8, and then Isaiah chapters 30 and 31, okay? And you'll get a figurative picture of a dam break from God's perspective, okay? And it's much, much worse, all right? It's Revelation chapter 9 kind of stuff, all right? And I'm admonishing people, and I'm not a date setter, okay? I believe all these people, you can come up with a date for anything, okay? I'm not a specific date setter. There are occult overlords. They believe in dates because they're into astrology / astronomy and occultism and numerology. They do, okay, but God's not on on a date-setting plan. Okay, you can read about that in Acts chapter 1. Matthew chapter 12, he alludes to that. Okay, the parable of the worker working in the harvesting wheat at the end of Matthew 24, after the Olivet Discourse. Okay, is enough to say, don't worry about setting or trying to set a specific date. It never works out. I mean, we're going to know the time and the season. We're definitely in a time and a season, okay? Then whether the scam, this Federal Reserve scam, goes on for another month, 2 months, or 2 years, I can't say, but I can say that, on a historical basis, depending on which source you read, of say anywhere between 5 and 12 or 13,000 years of human history, we're certainly in the fractions of a percent of time left. Okay, which is why I admonish you, if you're listening, if you're fortunate to be listening, boxofsunglasses.com, God's Simple Salvation Plan. Okay, but things are unraveling. Okay, I can't say that enough. Okay, John Carpenter, not only did he write the great movie They Live, which is what I was trying to get at before. Okay, he made another great movie called In the Mouth of Madness. Okay, maybe you can get it on Amazon, maybe you can order it on, I don't know, Optimum or whatever, cable company, Netflix or whatever. But that's an accurate picture, okay, of what's really going to go on. It's not going to be some stupid, as I've been saying time and again, these morons on these so-called Christian channels, these evangelicals, the ones that, most of it's just Christian rock, namby-pamby nonsense and garbage and a waste of time at best. Okay, I'm not even going to address them right now. I'm talking about these Israel First, Great Tribulation, Rapture, comic book Antichrist morons. Okay, because it's not going to go down like that. I've been saying, okay, it's going to be a dam break. Okay, per Isaiah 8, those chapters I mentioned before, Isaiah 8, Isaiah 30 and 31. It's going to come hard and it's going to come fast. Okay, Mystery Babylon, the Mystery Babylon USA link on my site. Okay, a nuclear ambush of the United States, of the whore of Babylon, which we are. Okay, that's what's unfolding right now. Okay, we're in deep doo-doo in this country. Okay, it's like a potential energy kind of buildup. Okay, or whatever analogy you want to throw in there. Okay, a pressure cooker with no outlet. Okay, the pressure is just building and building economically, societal-wide, with these anti-Trump morons. Okay, these maniacs on the streets, so-called feminists, etc., these anarchists. Okay, we're in a pressure cooker here. Okay, and just to address these anti-Trump people, okay, and I'll say this and I'll say it again, okay, I'm not completely sold on Trump. All right, I'm not going to sit here and say, so just there's people all over the map. I'd listen to a lot of people, different people. Some people say, Trump is just an extension of the deep state. To others that say, Trump is, a Christian and he's acting on a Christian's behalf. Look, I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to say I don't know. All right, I'm not going to look into it too deeply. Even if I had 100% of the facts that are out there in front of me, which I don't, with my opinion of what I said, I would just be essentially still deducing or making deductions on my own personal thoughts, okay? Of course, we must pray for the man, and hopefully he has this, Apostle Paul Damascus Road moment, like in Acts chapter 9. Okay, but be that as it may, okay, these maniacs, these brainless, zombified maniacs you're seeing in places like Cal Berkeley, on the streets all over the United States. These people are unhinged, okay? They can't be rationalized with. They can't be reasoned with. You can't reason with somebody that calls you a Nazi, okay, who belongs or who is working together with openly communist and socialist groups, okay? Communist Party USA, Democratic Socialists of America, Green for All. These are all anarchist, communist, socialist groups. Now, all these blank holes, and fill in the blank, these stupid college kids and these useful white liberal idiots and the Black Lives Matter, all these people, okay, not only are they licking the boots of George Soros, David Rockefeller, Rothschild, they're white, capitalist, devil-worshipping criminal overlords. Not only are all these groups a bunch of bootlickers, they can't be rationalized with. You can't rationalize with somebody who's calling you a Nazi, who hates you because they say you're a Nazi, who think they're fighting Hitler's Nazis. The word Nazi means National Socialist, all right? So how are you going to rationalize somebody that's calling you a Nazi, which means National Socialist? You know, you're against them, you disagree with them, which means you're not a socialist, but that's the best they can come up with. But that's what you can't. I'm saying these people are shot. Okay, they're spent. Okay, and there's more to this than just stupidity. Now, from a biblical standpoint, you know, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. And that's Romans chapter 1, and I think it's Proverbs chapter 1. You know, fools dispel knowledge and wisdom. Or the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, but fools dispel knowledge and wisdom. Okay. Now, from a biblical sense, even Jeremiah chapter 10, okay, all this nature worship and all this sort of thing, that's still going on today, by the way. And maybe we'll discuss that in a minute. There's a so-called women's march, okay, supporting abortion. Baby carcasses are being burned for biofuel. All right, but anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Let's just stay on point here. These people are dark. Okay, the lights are out. Okay, and I'm saying there's more to it than just plain basic human level stupidity. There's biblical stupidity and foolishness. Okay, and then the Bible uses the word fool. Now, in biblical times, calling somebody a fool was quite an insult. It was kind of like calling somebody an a-hole or a complete moron or an idiot, all kind of rolled up into one. All right, so it's more than just, you know, call somebody a fool today. Yeah, it's an insult, but it holds a lot of weight in biblical times. And that word's used throughout the Bible. Okay, so it's not just a human sense of stupidity. It's in the biblical sense, but the lights are out. Okay, just like Pharaoh in Exodus. Okay, and remember all the plagues. Okay, even the 10th plague, you know, Pharaoh's son, firstborn, was killed, as well as the firstborn throughout Egypt. Okay, there's a reason for that, because the firstborn, the Pharaoh, the firstborn son, represented the continuation of the sun god Osiris, or his son Horus. Okay, which is not the subject of tonight's show, but if you go back and you read about Nimrod after the flood, or Cain, who I believed copulated, or whatever the word is, consummated with his mother Eve, which is a direct parallel to all the, quote, mythologies of the world. Okay, if a careful reading of the first several chapters of Genesis, that's abundantly clear. Okay. So, what I'm getting at is that these people, like John chapter 8, they're of their father, the devil, just like the Pharaoh in ancient Egypt. He didn't get the hint. Okay, even after his son was killed, okay, he let the Israelites go. But then he said, wait a second, what did I just do? I let these people go? We need these slaves. Now, this is after all the other 9 plagues before that. So, in other words, his mind was dark. He couldn't be reasoned with. Okay, that's the point. That's one of the many points. You can sit here and, you know, every one of those 10 plagues, just as an aside, I mean, they point to a specific god in Egypt. Okay, you know, the killing of the cattle. Okay, the locust swarm. The frogs, the bloody river Nile. Okay, the river Nile was considered, you know, life-giving. You know, the blood of, you know, or the life-giving force of Osiris, the god of the Nile. Okay, the agricultural season, the silt from the Nile that they grew crops in, okay. The black dirt was considered a gift from Osiris's wife, Isis, or in Roman and Greek mythology, Diana, Artemis. Today we know her as Gaia. And again, we're going to revisit that in a second. Okay. But the point is, again, Pharaoh couldn't be reasoned with. And a lot of these people can't be reasoned with. They're gone. They're goners. They're shot. They're dark. The lights are out. There's nothing you can say or I can say to them that's going to get through to them. And they want to kill us. Okay, they want to kill the, quote, non-believers that don't see as they do. Okay? And that's just the cold hard truth at this point. Okay, and the reason being is because they hate God. They've given up on God. They're evolutionists. There is no God. This life, this earth is it. Okay, so their heaven on earth is some kind of, Harvard, Ivy League, Ivory Tower, sociology professor, liberal sociology professor utopia here on earth. Okay, in America, and Trump, the image of Trump, not Trump the man, stands against that. This is the source of their rage, okay, because America has taken away their heaven on earth. Their heaven, they're socialist, they're 6-year-old, everybody gets free ice cream, butterflies, and nonsensical utopia. Can't happen, okay, with America. And Trump just represents America, right? These people, when they say they want to kill Trump and they want to blow up the White House and they hate Trump, yeah, they do. But what are they really saying? They want to kill America. They want to kill millions of Americans. These people aren't screwing around, okay? And the people controlling them, they're criminal, devil-worshipping, devil-controlled Rothschild, Rockefeller, Soros overlords. They're in the same boat. Okay, ultimately, in God's eyes, they're all in the same boat. Okay, they're all going to burn together. Okay, and perhaps, future show and get into Revelation and what Revelation is really saying. And it's not the nonsense you've been hearing about two witnesses and the comic book Antichrist and the New Jerusalem temple and all the stupidity. Okay, but anyway, just again, just to wrap up, these people, they're not. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to say to a lot of them. Should we pray for them? Ironically, as harsh as I sound, and I'm not perfect, I admit it, but hopefully a few of them can be plucked away before it really hits the fan. Okay? Because when God reveals himself the next time, it's too late. That's the sixth seal. Okay? When the wrath of God becomes apparent, okay, and we're just starting to see hints of it right now. It's game over. Okay, that's it. Right. A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, but none shall be given to it except for the prophet Jonah. Okay, that's Jesus in Matthew chapter 12. Okay, Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the beast. So shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Okay. So what Jesus is saying there is, when I come back at the end of that third day, which isn't a literal day, by the way, parentheses, okay, these so-called biblical experts selling all kinds of books can't figure out the difference between 3 days and 3 nights and rising on the third day. And a lot of people that criticize the Christians pick up on these so-called contradictions, and they have a field day with these morons, okay? But there is a difference between 3 days and the third day. All right. But just to stay on point for right now, this is what he's saying. He's like, when you see me again, remember in the end of Matthew 23, and he just gets done condemning the Pharisees and the Jews to hell. Okay, there's no screwing around. You can read it, Matthew 23. How can you escape being condemned to hell? Woe unto you, scribes, Pharisees, hypocrites, calling them dead men's bones. Okay, whitewashed tombs, condemning them to hell. And how does he conclude that tirade? He says, "You shall not see me again, and when you see me again, you shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord." So in other words, Philippians chapter 2, every knee shall bow. Okay, so in other words, what that's saying is when he shows up again, okay, Revelation 6 seal, it's game over. Okay, that's it. There's no 1,000-year reign. There's no people living on earth in peace and Satan escaping from his prison in 1,000 years. Okay, that's all nonsense. You can't take that stuff literally, or else you're going to drive yourself crazy, as you will trying to read the whole Bible. Okay. But anyway, so that's it. Okay, that's where these people are headed. All right. Because remember what Jesus said, if you read Matthew, again, you go back to Matthew chapter 12, he said, basically told the Pharisees, he says, the kingdom of heaven is here. I'm the kingdom of heaven. If you reject me, there's no hope. Every sin shall be forgiven, or has the potential to be forgiven, except sin against the Holy Ghost. So in other words, basically what that's saying is, I'm the kingdom. If you reject me, forget my prophets of the Old Testament. I mean, that was bad enough if you read about what happened to God's so-called chosen people throughout the major and so-called minor prophets. Okay, the Babylonian captivity, the Assyrians, the invasions from the Syrians, okay, the Philistines, all the way back in the book of Judges. Israel was in a world of hurt. Israel and later, Israel/Judah when they split up after the death of Solomon. Okay, they were in a world of hurt for most of the Old Testament, but that's nothing. Okay, that's nothing compared to the eternal destruction that is hell. Okay, and hell's not a lake of fire. It's not the devil running around with a pitchfork and throwing people into a wall of flames and you're just roasting forever. Okay, hell is just darkness for infinity. Okay, all right, that's what hell really is. Okay, and we could spend a whole show on that, but just for right now, suffice it to say, all right, one passage I can cite, Revelation 14, the smoke of their torment shall rise up forever and ever. Okay, so what is smoke? What does that mean? Okay, well, smoke, something burns, fire, you get smoke, and then when the fire is out, you still get the smoke, right? So what that's saying is, yeah, if you reject God, he's going to, just like in 1 Samuel chapter 8, he's going to give you what you want. All right, Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, okay, all you Darwin evolutionary biologists, you American Civil Liberties Union communist pedophile defending scumbags, lowlifes, okay, you hate God, you want separation of church and state, you don't want Jesus in society, but you'll take Satanists and so-called religion of peace people, you will get what you want. You will get it. Okay, evolutionists, you think you can create a universe out of nothing? That's your great theory. You're going to be granted that opportunity. All right, and that's covered in detail in here. That's part of the major part of the conversation in here. You will be granted that chance. You can create the universe out of nothing. Okay. God's just like in 1 Samuel chapter 8. They want a king. They don't want me. They want a human king. It's going to be problems. They're going to be fighting wars. Their sons are going to be killed. They want to be just like the nations around them. They want to reject me. Okay. And that was in the physical world. Now in the New Testament era, after Jesus, after the kingdom of God has come to this world and left, there's nothing left to reject. Okay, this is all over. This is thematically, this is the book of Hebrews. Okay, you will get what you want. You're going to have infinity to figure out how you can make your own universe out of nothing. Okay, it's just that simple. And just to step back a moment, and what I touched on before, now a lot of this, now speaking of the Old Testament, just to give another example, just to bring things up to this modern, Oscars, Grammys, whatever these stupid award show, neon light image that this nation really is, this image of the beast, formerly led by Pharaoh Barry, the consummate image of the beast. Okay. We still sacrifice to Baal and Gaia. I bet you didn't know that. Okay, remember in the Old Testament, sacrificing, passing children through the fire, sacrificing them to Baal, okay, was strictly forbidden by God, okay. But it's all over the book of Jeremiah, okay. I think Jeremiah chapter 7 is one example, okay. And there are many other places, worshiping the groves, the stocks, which are trees, the rocks, Jeremiah 2 and 3, okay. It's basically talking about ancient Egyptian and Babylonian paganism and worshiping the earth and sacrificing children to Moloch or Baal or Osiris or Nimrod, whatever name you want to give it, the sun god, the insatiable appetite for human blood that was the sun god Baal. Let's just use him for a second. That hasn't changed. Okay, remember Georgia Guidestones, the anti-10 commandments right here, brought to us by Robert Christian. Remember the rose plus the cross, the Rosicrucian, or 18 or 6 plus 6 plus 6 degree of Freemasonry. It's right here, etched in stone. Okay. But think about the abortion movement in this nation, okay? It's considered a good thing by these radical environmentalists who think the earth, the godless radical environmentalists who think the earth is Isis or Gaia or the mother earth, the great mother. You've heard this term, okay? And of course her husband who impregnates her is the Osiris, represented by a certain obelisk, okay? St. Peter's Square, the Vatican, Washington, D.C., the Phallus, okay, the male member of Osiris is what that represents, okay. 555 feet tall over there in Washington, D.C., or 6,660 inches, okay, and 55 feet wide around the base. I mean, come on, all right. But anyway, this sacrifice is still happening. I think about this so-called Women's March, okay? What was the biggest thing? I mean, if I say the number one object was, of course, abortion, so-called women's right to choose, but what are we really doing, okay? We're aborting millions, tens of millions of fetuses. It's keeping the population down, okay, which many of these environmentalists, left-wing environmentalists would say. So in other words, we're sacrificing, we're killing live humans for Gaia. Romans chapter 1, we're worshiping the created instead of the creator, okay? And then by taking those fetuses, some get thrown into landfills, in the case of this guy, Dr. so-called Gosnell in Philadelphia, you might throw them in a Ziploc bag and maybe throw a head or two in the freezer and keep a few others in formaldehyde jars around your office. Some of them get landfilled, but some of them end up in so-called clean energy facilities or biogas facilities. It was a big deal out in Oregon, okay, a few years back. Okay, so burning, where have we heard that before? Just mention, passing your children through the fire or burning them in a large statue of Moloch, which happened in these ancient cultures, or Baal, or whatever you want to call them. We're doing the same thing. Okay, we have a neon kind of Madison Avenue, Hollywood, Beverly Hills overlay on top of it. We call it a woman's right to choose. But when you peel that all away, we're taking a functioning human fetus, throwing it on a table somewhere and sending it off and burning it for clean energy. We're sacrificing our children to Gaia. Biogas. We're burning our children for biogas. All right. And this from a nation who cited Jesus and God the Creator in all its founding documents, okay? Regardless of what these scumbags, the lowlifes, okay, the communists at the American Civil Liberties Union say, can't get rid of nature's God and divine providence and the Declaration of Independence. It's there. You can't get rid of the Liberty Bell. The city of Philadelphia is named after the Philadelphia, the book of Revelation. Okay, you can read the writings. Elias Boutno, the first president of the Continental Congress. He was president before the presidency was officially created. Okay, wrote a book called The Age of Revelation. John Witherspoon, okay, devout Christian minister. Okay, I think he was a medic or a minister during the Revolutionary War. Taught many of the founders. Okay, signer of the Declaration. You can Google these people. You can get their books right on Amazon.com. Those are just two examples. Okay, now we've gone from that mindset to sacrificing our children to Baal, literally, and his wife Gaia, or Mother Earth, Baal or Moloch, Osiris. Okay, so when you put all this together, we're in a world of hurt. Okay, which is why I admonish God's simple salvation plan while there's still time. Okay, Isaiah 64, come to me while there's still time. Okay, because again, the sixth seal, it's game over. Right, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about some stupid blood moons, or I know there's Planet X, this Nibiru. Look, I don't have time to cover all that. Okay, my niche, I think I found my niche. It's in the books that I sell, the few books that I sell, which is just a sliver of the quote conspiracy, but it's a well-documented and thoroughly researched one, plus the proper interpretations of the Bible. Okay, that's what you're going to get out of this. Okay, I'm not going to regurgitate a bunch of other stuff flying around the internet, because you can get that on your own. You don't need me to sit here and regurgitate that. Okay, so maybe at some point we'll start looking at the proper interpretation of Revelation, the two witnesses. Okay, it's not going to be Moses and Elijah running around Jerusalem, shooting darts at people. How stupid. So-called evangelicals. Okay, it's the two witnesses are the Old Testament Jewish prophets. Okay, when you actually read, that's the key. When you actually read the Old Testament, it becomes abundantly clear. The language of Revelation becomes abundantly clear when you actually read the Bible. Okay, but if you're like these morons, these quick buck artists, okay, and you start, the Genesis, Abraham, the promise to Abraham in Genesis 12, and then you skip all the way to Revelation, then I guess, you can say anything you want, and, put some fancy name on it, making some fancy commercial, and intimidate people into buying your books and becoming, a celebrity. But it's not that easy, okay, unfortunately. So once again, Rob Roselli, boxofsunglasses.com, not Fox News. Good night and God bless.